They weren't wiped out by a meteor. They weren't hunted into extinction by a superpredator. The first Americans vanished for a reason, far stranger and far more terrifying. For thousands of years, a vibrant civilization thrived across the Americas. But then, almost overnight, they were gone. What could make an entire people disappear? The story most of us know is that around 13,000 years ago, hunter-gatherers crossed a land bridge from Siberia into Alaska. These were the Clovis people, named after the distinctive stone spear points they left behind. For decades, we believed they were the first. Their story was simple. They arrived, they spread, and they conquered a continent filled with giant beasts, like mammoths and saber-tooths. But this story has a massive hole in it, a dark period where the trail goes cold. Imagine this. You're a Clovis hunter. The air is cold, thick with the smell of pine and damp earth. You're tracking a giant ground sloth, a creature the size of an elephant. Your spear is sharp, your senses are honed. You are the apex predator. But something is wrong. The birds are silent. The air feels heavy, charged with an unseen threat. Suddenly, the sky itself seems to catch fire. A brilliant flash, brighter than the sun, streaks across the horizon. It's not a meteor you recognize. It's something else. The ground shakes violently, and a wave of superheated air rips through the forest, turning trees to splinters. You are thrown to the ground, the roar deafening your ears. This wasn't a normal day. This was the end. This apocalyptic scene isn't science fiction. It's a leading theory for what happened to the Clovis people. It's called the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis. The theory suggests that around 12,800 years ago, a fragmented comet or asteroid slammed into the North American ice sheet or exploded in the atmosphere above it. The impact would have been catastrophic. We're talking about an explosion thousands of times more powerful than all the nuclear weapons on Earth combined. It wouldn't have left a single neat crater like the one that killed the dinosaurs. Instead, it would have created a storm of destruction across the entire continent. The evidence is chilling, and it's scattered everywhere. Scientists have found a thin, dark layer of soil across North America, dating precisely to this time. They call it the black mat. Below this layer, you find Clovis artifacts and the bones of megafauna. Above it, nothing. It's a geological tombstone. Within this black mat, researchers have discovered microscopic diamonds, formed only under extreme heat and pressure. They've found melted glass spherules, tiny metallic droplets, and high concentrations of iridium and platinum elements, rare on Earth's surface but common in asteroids and comets. They've even found charcoal and soot, evidence of continent-spanning wildfires that would have blotted out the sun. The impact triggered what's known as a cosmic winter. The initial blast and subsequent wildfires would have thrown so much dust and smoke into the atmosphere that it blocked sunlight, causing temperatures to plummet drastically. This wasn't a gradual ice age. It was a sudden, brutal, deep freeze that lasted for over 1,000 years. The great mammals, the mammoths, mastodons, and giant sloths, already stressed by climate change, couldn't adapt. They starved or froze, vanishing from the face of the earth in a geological blink of an eye. And the Clovis people, who depended on these animals for survival, faced the same fate. Their entire world, their food source, their way of life, was incinerated and then frozen solid. They weren't just defeated, they were erased from the landscape. Imagine being a survivor, huddling in a cave, watching the world you knew turn to ash and then ice. But here's the truly mind-bending twist. The Clovis people might not have been the first Americans after all. The story of the first people is far older and more mysterious than we ever imagined. For years, the Clovis first model was scientific dogma. Any evidence of older human settlement was dismissed, but that wall is crumbling. Archaeological sites from Texas to Chile are revealing a much deeper history. At a site in Texas called Galt, archaeologists have found stone tools buried deep below the Clovis layers, dating back 16,000 to 20,000 years. In Monteverde, Chile, there's evidence of a settlement dated to over 14,500 years ago, maybe even as old as 18,500 years. These people lived in wooden huts, ate seaweed, and used different tools. They were here long before the Clovis hunters ever arrived. So, who were these pre-Clovis people? And how did they get here? The land bridge theory doesn't fully hold up for these earlier dates, as the ice corridor into the heart of America wasn't open yet. This has led to a radical new idea, the Kelp Highway. Instead of trekking through a frozen wasteland, These first pioneers may have been mariners navigating the Pacific coastline in small boats. They would have traveled along the coast from Asia to the Americas, living off the rich marine life found in kelp, forest fish, seals, shellfish, and seabirds. It was a literal highway of resources, allowing them to leapfrog down the coast much faster than anyone could on foot. This explains how people could have reached South America so early. They weren't big game hunters like the Clovis. They were people of the sea. This changes everything. It means there wasn't just one founding population, but potentially multiple waves of migration, by different people at different times using different routes. It means the Americas were populated by diverse groups long before we thought. So what happened to these true first Americans, the pre-Clovis people? Were they also victims of the cataclysmic Younger Dryas impact? Or did their coastal way of life offer them some protection from the inland devastation? Perhaps some of them survived the fire and ice, their populations shattered but not extinguished. Maybe their descendants are still among us, their ancient story hidden within the DNA of modern indigenous peoples. The evidence is complex. Genetic studies of Native Americans show an incredible diversity that is hard to explain with a single migration. Some studies point to a founding population that entered the Americas around 16,000 years ago, aligning with the pre-Clovis sites. But it also shows splits and divergences that suggest a far more intricate history. It's a puzzle with pieces scattered across time and continents. So we have two great mysteries: the sudden, violent end of the Clovis culture, likely in a cosmic catastrophe, and the deeper, shadowy story of the people who came before them. A story we are only just beginning to uncover. The Americas were not an empty land waiting to be discovered. They were a world inhabited for millennia, a world that witnessed civilizations rise and fall, and that endured a cataclysm that makes our modern fears seem small. The first Americans didn't just disappear, they were caught in an apocalypse, an impact from the heavens that reset the clock on an entire continent. The silence in the archaeological record isn't just an absence of people, it's the echo of a scream that was heard across a hemisphere and then frozen in time. And the most chilling part, the cosmic debris that caused this is still out there, in a swarm of fragments called the Taurid meteor stream. Our planet passes through it twice a year. We were not the first to see our world burn, and if we aren't careful, we may not be the last. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by the deep mysteries of our planet's past, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next.